Ever seen the gates of hell or paradise on earth? These are 1 in a million moments in nature. Let's start with an event that seems surreal because this volcano in Guatemala is famous for shooting lightning. Turns out this happens when ash particles bump into each other, creating static lightning inside the volcano. But volcanoes can get way weirder, because in 2023, cameras over the Pacific Ocean caught an underwater volcano erupting, and that showed the world how islands are formed. Just like that, Japan got a brand new island, and it's currently being named. But nature's moments can also be terrifying because water vortexes like these can kill you in the worst way possible. See, vortices form when two currents meet, causing the water to rotate, which is a pretty rare phenomenon. But worst of all, if you fall into one, you're not coming out, because water vortexes will suck you down and hold you there forever. But speaking of forever, we gotta mention a place that's been on fire for so long, it's called the Gates of Hell. Let me explain. In the 1960s, a crater was found in the Soviet Union filled with methane gas and boiling mud, so they let it sit there for a few years. Finally, they decided to light it on fire to see what would happen. Well, since that day, the crater literally hasn't stopped burning, and instead of trying to put it out, the local government uses it to promote tourism. They should be really careful, because situations like this can get really out of hand because a whirlpool of fire was generated in the middle of the ocean. In 2021, a pipeline running under the Gulf of Mexico suddenly had a leak, and gas started pouring into the ocean, till eventually it lit up in flames, causing fire to literally burn on top of the water. Thankfully, they were able to contain the spill, and nobody was hurt. But I've seen enough horror movies to know that this is not a good sign. Because you've probably seen hundreds of fires on the internet, but have you seen one that starts from inside a tree? It looks like they're summoning some kind of creature in there. But a single burning tree is not comparable to a river of lava that can destroy everything in its path, because in just a few seconds, it turned the land into a demonic paradise. Wow, too hot. Let's get into the water. Oh no, the water is on fire too? Wait, what is going on? See, this is what happens when the tannic acid in cypress trees transforms the color of the water. It makes it look like fire, creating an amazing dream scene. But don't be fooled, nature can be pretty harsh too, because in 2018, a massive snowstorm called Bomb Cyclone hits Florida, and in just a few minutes, it turned cars and boats into frozen structures filled with snow. But the cold in the United States is so intense that it can create entire islands of ice, because in 2019, a river in Maine formed a gigantic ice disk. This thing was over 100 yards long and could spin completely on its own. And while these can be pretty common, finding one this big is 1 in a million. But so is this island, because it can move on its own. See, in Lake Chippewa, Wisconsin, there was an island that started moving because it was not attached to the seafloor, and it almost blocked a bridge. But just in time, 25 boaters came together and did the impossible. Is that a floating island being moved by boats? Now, what if I told you there's a waterfall made of lava? This is the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii, and in December 2016, several acres of land collapsed around it, creating a waterfall of lava that poured directly into the Pacific Ocean. But sadly, after more than a year of constant pouring, the waterfall finally stopped in January 2018. But nature had these people freaking out because there's a cloud that makes it look like the world is ending. This is a shelf cloud, and while they happen all the time, they don't typically last long, and actually capturing one on camera is very rare. Luckily though, these aren't dangerous at all, but it does mean a thunderstorm is coming, so get inside. But don't go too far because you won't want to miss this next one, because on really rare occasions, microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates that have bioluminescence they will turn the entire beach into a glow stick. Even the dolphins left incredible blue trails. This is like Avatar in real life. But speaking of animals, nature can get pretty crazy, because in 2016, a woman in Florida found a snake with 2 heads. Yeah, and after taking them to a group of biologists, even they were shocked. The snakes have a rare condition called bicephaly, which happens when 2 twins fail to separate completely, and as it turns out, these guys are on display at a zoo in Texas, so you can go check them out yourself. But crazier than 2 heads, there are 3. See, in 2004, a kid saw a frog with 3 heads and 6 legs in a garden in England and quickly named it Froggy. Experts believe the frog might be mutated due to pollution or possibly a genetic defect. I gotta be honest though, dog, either way, that's one ugly-ass frog. But nothing should be uglier than the feeling of being swallowed by a whale. Like, one time, a humpback whale swallowed 2 kayakers.
That's what I thought. I'm dead. Because I thought it was going to land on me.
Now, the whale ended up spitting them out, and they survived with absolutely no injuries. But being swallowed by a whale is the best thing that could happen to you compared to what comes next. Have you ever heard of a spider apocalypse? See, 2 years ago, after a flood in Australia, the countryside was covered in some mysterious white webbing. And when people got close to see what it was, they discovered Australia had been taken over by millions of spiders. Somehow, though, there are even scarier moments in nature, because have you wondered what it's like to get stuck in the middle of a tornado? Well, a YouTuber named Reed Timmer built a tornado-proof truck just to find out.
We're in it! We're in it! We're in a tornado!
Jesus, these guys are maniacs. But look, people in Norway were getting blown away too, because winds reached 90 miles per hour and it made pedestrians look like rag dolls. But I swear, Norway has nothing on Spain, because their storms are on another level. Like, this entire city in Spain was covered in sea foam after an insane storm. This happens when high waves mix with strong winds, kinda like a washing machine. But let's move on to an underwater world, because a flood in Brazil turned a hiking trail into an underwater paradise. I swear I've seen that in a dream before, or was it in another Avatar movie? But if you're looking for paradise, you can add another country to your list, because this is the Caño Cristales, a rainbow river in Colombia, and it has plants that grow on the river's stones, changing the river's color. But you can only catch this between July and October, when the country's not too wet and not too dry. Man, that's the most beautiful paradise water I've ever seen. But speaking of paradise, the next animal has probably escaped from it, because it's literally Jesus! Does that count as swimming or running? I don't know. But from paradise, we go straight to hell. Because in 1989, the MLB World Series was going on, when all of a sudden the entire stadium started shaking.
I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
A 6.9 magnitude earthquake destroyed Oakland, unleashing hell. 18,000 homes were ruined. 2,500 businesses were destroyed, resulting in over $6.8 billion in damages. The craziest part, though, experts claim that the baseball game actually saved lives, because people were off the roads watching the game and away from the areas hit the hardest. But listen to this. A town in Colorado thought they were being invaded by aliens when hundreds of light beams suddenly appeared all across the night sky, but it turns out they were just light beams formed by ice crystals. And they look pretty damn cool. But cooler than that, imagine that nature can smile at you. See, if you're driving along the Oregon 18 highway, you'll spot a place where a company created this particular design with trees that turn yellow in the fall to make this incredible smiling face. That's wholesome as hell, dog. But what if nature could shout at you? This is the most mysterious sound on planet Earth. See, for decades, people all around the world have reported hearing the same exact sound blaring from the sky. But the craziest part is, scientists have no idea what it is or where it's coming from. I should have had beans for dinner last night. Because during a tornado storm, the sky over South Dakota looked like a nuclear war announcing the end of the world. Man, if you ever see the sky turn green, it means run! And you should run to this mountain, because there's a spot in California where the moon looks close enough to touch. Man, can we talk about these people? Is that a cult or something? But crazier than this, it's a cloud of birds. Because if you're lucky enough, you can catch what's known as the flight of the starlings, where thousands of birds fly together to create what looks like a cloud or a tornado. Apparently, this happens so the birds can deter predators, so we know why they do it. The thing is, though, scientists still can't figure out how they do it without hitting each other. Think about it, thousands of birds flying in perfect formation without any accidents. Reminds me of the traffic in India. But this performance doesn't work out well for all birds, cause in Mexico, suddenly something mysteriously falls from the sky. It's a flock of blackbirds swirling to the ground. Hundreds and hundreds of the birds appear like a plume of black smoke. Within seconds, many of them fly off, but a considerable number are killed upon impact, left scattered on the ground. Scientists determined it could be due to pollutants in the city's air, but it's not the strangest thing you'll see about birds. Because imagine being calm in your house when suddenly 1,500 birds start invading your home through the chimney. I think Santa is climbing down. Oh no, wait a second. Well, at least they cleaned the chimney. But what if I told you there's a bird out there that has superpowers? Yeah, meet the lyrebird, a bird that can mimic any sound it hears, from kids' toys to car alarms, cameras, and even a chainsaw. Damn, that bird's throat game is crazy. But let's move on to another forest where an incredible find was made, because scientists in China discovered a 10,000-year-old forest inside of a hidden cave. In 2022, a group of explorers were climbing around some mountains in China when they discovered a giant sinkhole that was around 630 feet deep. So the group went down and found this inside. But once scientists got a closer look around, they announced that they found multiple species that were supposed to be extinct for hundreds of years. But caves can also be found in the middle of the ice, because an impressive ice cave has formed under a glacier in the Swiss Alps. The bluish cave has a rounded ceiling made of thick ice about 16 feet high. Who knows what could be buried in that ancient ice? But it looks like a scene from another planet. Speaking of which, we gotta talk about the craziest thing found in nature, UFOs. For years, people have been seeing crazy-ass things up in the sky, things they can't even describe. Well, in 2020, the US government decided to finally come clean.
A total of 650 cases.
They had no idea what people were seeing either. In fact, they started having official public hearings to discuss what people could be seeing, and even had former members of the military come forward and say,
"It's white, it has no wings, it has no rotors." I go, holy, what is that?
And the Pentagon decided to actually release footage of what they refer to as UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena. Phew! There were a lot of amazing natural events, but if that still isn't enough for you, we have another video with the most extreme weather events ever recorded. You should take a look.